So I'm Jussi Halmetoja in the Air Force. They give us call signs, so I go by Miyagi in our community. Nice to be here. Thank you for inviting us. My current role at Saab Aeronautics is quite broad. So given my background, I've done quite a lot of different things coupled with fights military aviation. So I have a good background to support in future fighter development, new advanced programs as a subject matter expert on fighter capability. We do a lot of studies and analysis. We help nations with the concept operations. I'm here now in beautiful Bogota in Colombia as I help in a sales and marketing campaign we're doing in country. Because I represent Saab Aeronautics and I have a green flight suit, so obviously I'm linked with the fighter programs and the fighter capability, air power capability to deliver solutions for military problems for nations to defend their national borders. So that's my main objective. Saab as a company, before I go into specifics what we do here, we have a lot of different products. We have airborne early warning systems, so command and control platforms, which we have delivered to nations in Latin America. We have a strong underwater segment, submarines and systems related to that kind of naval warfare. We have a land segment. We do everything from grenades which are designed to bust tanks. We do camouflage nets. We do all kinds of training equipment. So it's a very broad portfolio. We are all over the world, even in Latin America. Currently, here in Colombia and also some other nations over here, we are now talking about introduction about a fighter program, fighter aircraft for Colombian Air Force. That's the main objective right now. That's a great question, and it can be the answer can be very long, but I'll try to keep it short. I think Latin America has many possibilities and a lot of talent, but also a lot of challenges. But that goes not only for Latin America, that's the whole world. So there is a widening asymmetry in military capability where we see our systems, not only the Air Force systems, but the ground and sea segment also getting obsolete, so old, and we don't have enough of them. And we get ambitions to procure new weapon systems, but they are quite costly and they don't get delivered in time. And they're not always, when they get delivered, doing the job that they want to do, that we want of them to do. So we see this in Latin America. We see this in all over the world. We see challenges with internal and external conflicts with crime. We see the whole green transformation issue. So there's a lot of things going on, and the military capabilities are very much linked into all of this, whether you like it or not. We are very excited because Latin America, Colombia, Peru, Brazil is one of our main partners right now. They are a main partner in the Gripen program, a very tight collaboration. And in fact, Brazilian Air Force, Brazilian nation, they are the first Air Force that actually had taken Gripen into operation right now. So that's very, very exciting and very cool. Very cool. We are very keen, Sweden is very keen to collaborate with, well, all nations all over the world, almost with some exceptions. Latin America has always been politically very important for Sweden. We have a strong social democrat background for 50, 60, 70 years. So the development in Latin America has been very natural for us to kind of work together with your nations here. And that goes for every Swedish company, also us for Saab. So wanting to be an active partner. We, even though cultures and climates and languages are different, we feel that we have a lot in common with you guys over here. Which we have seen, which I've seen now since my travels over here. That's very interesting to look at, and it's not only it's a whole kind of, we call it the multi-domain operations. It used to be focused on aeroplanes, soldiers or tanks or vehicles on the ground, and boats on the surface and on the surface. But now we have space. We have the things you just mentioned, like cyber, which is AI, machine learning, all kind of the whole Internet of Things, the clouds and everything you have. And all that is getting very scrambled, and who can control it? What to say? The future with AI and machine learning is absolutely coming. Already in our fighter jet, I've spoken with many of the Colombian new colleagues and friends about this. Try to explain how we implement it into a system like Gripen, where we now take computer data models that are AI, machine learn powered, and then develop new decision support, new information for the pilots, the men and women who will fly the planes, make the workload low, and give them whole new ways to present information and how the kind of flow of things go while you do your mission. And this is very exciting. And then drones, the man-unmanned, crewed-uncrewed concept is certainly coming. It's not right here, right now, but give us 5 to 10 years. We will have a mix of fighter jets flying with drones that we can control, sometimes autonomous. Then on the other segments, if you look at Ukraine, which is the terrible war in Europe right now, drones are getting increasingly used. Also in other nations, unfortunately very readily available, a favorite for many and not very nice organizations that can use them to terrorize people. So it's good and it's bad. And we always have to try and find a balance to focus on the good. Well, with the Gripen program in Brazil, that's the prime example. So it's a whole new capability of air power, of delivering, we call it credible, sustainable and cost-efficient offensive air posture. So having the offensive capability to be able to be defensive and defend the nation. So Gripen E flew first time in 2017. It's the newest, most modern fighter jet on the market today. That gives whole new levels of technologies of the next generation. So sensors that can see long distances. We have the decision support I just mentioned, which is unique right now. Other proponents and other fighter manufacturers will be there sooner or later, but we have it already now. How we network things in the whole multi-domain, all these like space, air, land, ground, cyber, how that kind of gets developed and what we can do with it in defense capability. So it's very exciting times. So there are no clear answers. I think we are about to see where things are going and how we can start using them. So it's really exciting to see Brazil because they are now in the forefront, a little bit ahead of Swedish Air Force, who also will have Gripen E. But as the first operator, to see how they are doing and supporting and learning from them as well. Oh yeah, that's a great question. I'm a pilot, so I'm not a politician. But of course, we're all taxpayers, right? And we're all cognizant in what happens in our nations. So first and foremost, air forces need equipment and fighter jets that can do the job, right? That's the first and foremost, and that's what's in my mind. But then looking at the whole purpose of societies, keeping societies and people safe. So you need armed forces so you can deter enemies, but you also need the other things which we work very actively as a defense company as well to do, grow societies. All the sustainability and green transition is getting very, very evident. And so we get more and more requirements and demands from all over the world to enforce that and follow it and lead it. So this is something that we work very closely. So fighter jet procurement is one bit. But if you do that with a nation, like we hopefully can be a very active partner with Bogota, that could be very exciting and very fruitful, I think. Next to its industrial collaboration with green transition, it needs to be generating jobs in Colombia. It needs to be academia, universities, all of those things, they go together. And this is how we do mega deals like this. This is how it works. And we want to do it with Colombia. This is a great question because this is exactly what I'm working with every day. So it's about really a nation's requirements. What are the requirements of Bogota, Colombia, and the air forces? So we want to give them the capability that they can do the requirements that you have. And I think we are very good at that in Sweden because we are sincere, we are fairly small and agile, and we are communicative, so we can listen to you guys. While maybe other bigger nations have ready set programs that get rolled in, so which is less efficient. I think Gripen as a system is credible, sustainable, cost efficient, and it has great capabilities launched today, which many of the other proponents in this competition don't have yet. It's a very agile and flexible fighter, so you can really land it or operate it from anywhere. And maybe Colombia hasn't got the dispersed operations concept, like Sweden has, where we fly the jet out of small runways all over the nation. But that capability gives you the ability to be flexible. So you can land it onto small roads or airstrips on high elevation, which you have in Colombia. It gives you the availability. So even if you have the world's best fighter, but if it's in the hangar, not flying, you won't be able to do the job. So we focus greatly on availability. So you can have 20, 25 aircraft and fly with 16, 18 every day. And this is something that distincts us from many of the other fighters, I think. So having the available fighting power in your effort. I would say not really. Some of the tactical systems we have, the sensors, the weapons, they could be a little bit different in configurations depending from Gripen nation to Gripen nations. But that's just because of maybe Colombia or Brazil or another nation, Sweden, have specific capabilities that they want to have. Maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago, fighter systems, like modern fighter systems, were kind of designed a little bit to different climates. But that's no longer the case. So Gripen would be worldwide climate approved. So even in the hot and humid, in the high and the low, in the snow, in the mud in Sweden, it's good to go. It doesn't require any specific modifications anymore. So it's a product which is designed for all different environments. So not really, unless it's a requirement for Colombian Air Force to integrate something specific. The aircraft is going to be very much the same. So survivability is one of the key requirements that we deliver, so that we focus heavily on. So it's the new whole sensor suite. So actually, for those who are very interested in the technology, the Gripen airframe has 40 apertures, so 40 antennas all around, which is quite a lot. So that gives you the information, so collection of information. And that's kind of the cornerstone of knowing what's going on around you with situation awareness. So you can do survivability in an efficient way. You can do lethality, so deliver weapons effect and all that stuff. And to your question, electronic warfare is really, for me, as an operator, fighter pilot, three things. So it's electronic protection, just like you said. It's electronic attack, and it's electronic support. So these three things. So the electronic support helps protection and attack. Most, well, if not all aircraft, to do electronic attack, it's an offensive operation to jam enemy radars. You need to add a pod, electronic warfare pod on, because of the power and the frequency coverage of the electronic warfare system is not great enough. That's no longer the case with Gripen E. So now we have integrated electronic attack capability into the airframe. So you don't need to put anything else on. Every Gripen you operate, has all these things already integrated. And that's a big difference in how you can do operations with survivability, flexibility, any mission, anywhere. So the training part it's one very important chapter in the whole fighter package. So our Swedish approach is based on listening to the customer nation. So it's called Training Needs Analysis, TNA. So we want to listen to the Colombian Air Force. What kind of training do you need? What kind of training do you already have? Because we don't want to give you the training that you already have, because that's inefficient. And this is also a distinction. Many other nations do it all the other way, but we think that this is the best way. So also train the trainer. So we want to give Colombia or Brazil or any other nation their sovereign capability, so they can train their own troops. So the first few guys or girls that come to Sweden, we train them in Sweden with Saab and Swedish Air Force Armed Forces. After that, they come home to their own base in Palanquero in Colombia. And then they can do the training in-house. We also support with Swedish personnel, maybe 2-3 years, depending on what every nation wants. So we have a small team of 8-12 people that help and support with operations to make it run smoothly. So that's the concept all in all. We're not so many people. Our nation, our population is the same as Bogota. So we have to find ways to do things efficiently, because we don't have the manpower or the time or the mechanism to do it other ways. Yeah. Obviously, we want to expand our partnership with Brazil. So hopefully they can procure even more higher number of Gripen from Sweden. We are hoping for that. We are promoting that a lot with our collaboration. We are active in fighter markets. We're in Colombia. We are also in Peru. And there are many other nations that want us to be active in the nations, but it's also time constraints, it's political situations and so on. But we want to grow in this part of the world, not only on the aviation aeronautical side, but also on the other side, the naval ground segment. Well, it's looking positive for Saab, but unfortunately for a dramatic reason, because the world is getting unsafer. Of course, it would be the best if everyone just could be friends, but then Saab would probably start making something else and not fighter jets and submarines. That's interesting, and I think it's about how the sizes of our armed forces, sizes of air forces. Even Sweden has a fairly big air force with 100 fighter jets, but it's because the close vicinity to our big eastern nation over there. But in the way we operate flexibly, we have high availability, high agility. I think that concept suits really well into nations that are looking at procuring 20, 30, 40. And it's the economies of scale in those nations. Because we think that this product is really well suited for that number, because it will generate fantastic air power, even with a lower number of aircraft, due to the special abilities of the products that we do. So that's one. We feel, I already mentioned the political bond with socialism, which is not my expertise, I'm not a politician, but we feel it's a very interesting cultural kind of bond between small strange Sweden up in the north and many of the Latin American nations. And it's been for many years. We feel you guys are easy to be with. You're friendly, you are sincere, and it's easy to learn to know you. And this is how we work. So out of the personal opinion, it's fantastic to come. I always look forward to come here because of how people treat you and how we learn to know you guys from day one. So creating friendships and partnerships, I think that's the most important thing. That's a good question as well. I must think a little bit. But I've been to a few nations now. I've been to Colombia now, second time. I was at the Palanquero Air Base, meeting with the Kafir pilots. That's a great jet, by the way. One of my kind of childhood, when I was 12, 13, I was looking at Kafir. Wow, and I could see it now, and I could meet the very capable Colombian Air Force pilot, ground crew as well. And you develop great friendships like that. Even though it's 45 degrees and no wind and there's snakes around, and it was like crazy experience, but still very friendly. So I think it was a little bit of not a cultural shock, but it's like wow, this is crazy, but I really love it. So I think it's the human bond. And then realizing that we have, out of a professional view, even in Colombia, but also meeting with similar people in Peruvian Air Force, in Brazil, that we deliver something that the Air Forces, the fighter pilots, the maintainers are really interested in. They want to hear what you have to say, and they think that could be something that they really seem to like it. That's really a great kind of feeling in my soul. So I come here, I meet with you guys, and we talk about something that we think you need. And you kind of get a little bit of confidence with these guys and girls. So that's great, I think. So it's a human perspective, I think. Over 25 years of flying, many crazy things happened. And fortunately, none of the crazy things have been very dangerous. There's one crazy thing once happened, which was kind of a chance. It was in Sweden, there was a big music festival quite close to the base where we were flying, but normally we wouldn't fly around that route because of this city and everything else. I knew that there was this concert ongoing. It was a Green Day concert, by the way. And I was directed straight onto this concert area on 2,000 feet, which is not too low. It's not low enough that your caps will blow off, but it's low enough that people will see you and definitely hear you. And I got this crazy idea that I'm going to want to do a 360-degree turn over the concert area, which I did. And towards the half end, I don't know what I was thinking, but the full afterburner. So I think next year when this concert was happening, the whole festival, they had put a big no-fly zone over it. So that was good fun. And I hope if Green Day is listening to it, please do. I was the guy who came to visit you on your concert some years ago. We do go by call signs, and it's one of the explanations why we have call signs, because of also the sensitivity of what we do. So if you go around the world, you don't necessarily always want to display your whole name. How do you get your call sign? Normally you've done something stupid, or it's or something crazy, or it's a feature of your personality or your some new abilities, and you never get to choose your call sign yourself. People will choose it for you. But this whole thing with Miyagi developed because since I was early age, I'm a martial artist. One of my hobbies, which I still do. So one of the few things I had some kind of talent in as well, I would say. So this was an exercise in Belgium or France, maybe Belgium, some years ago now, when we went to a dinner with some friends or some colleagues, 4 or 5 of us, and on Monday early evening. But went out from this restaurant, then these 2 thugs came to kind of attack us, and they had this idea that our cell phones and pilot grade watches and wallets would be much better in their position, and we didn't quite agree with that sentiment at that time. So I was involved in some close within visual range combat with these guys, and fortunately that ended safely for us. So hence Miyagi, from the Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi, you know. It's what I would say. It's like this martial artist. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, right? So it's always good to have be prepared. That's why we had fighter jets. That's why we have armed forces, so that we can be prepared if we need to use it. From the Second World War, my grandfather fought in the war in Finland, and his general said to him that either your nation will have, it always will have an army, either it's going to be your army, or it's going to be someone else's. And unfortunately, what we see, how the world is looking right now, it appears to be more true than false. It's kind of a crazy, chaotic, in a good way. Where I live in Sweden, it's a small, sleepy town with 150,000 people. Nothing happens. So it's vibrant, it's lively, it's friendly people, it's fantastic food. So next time I might not fit into my flight suit if I stay much longer here. No, I love it. I next time want to also see a bit more about what Bogota has to offer, but also maybe see something else. So that's my plan.